Donc lorsque je flingue, c'est toute ma putain de nation qui flingue avec moi. Tu vois ce que je veux dire?
Welcome back, everyone. With 3 rounds, Coach Terry, Jab University. How's it going on, man? How's it going?
It's going pretty good, man.
Okay. We weren't here on Monday, but we're back at it today. We have a guest from heavyweight from New Mexico. I think originally from Georgia, so we'll clarify that. But he's running a little late, or just kind of getting to a location where he can sit down and talk to us. So about 8 o'clock is what he said. So we'll just kind of play by ear and bring him in as soon as he jumps on. So we're just gonna kind of talk and see what's happening, and one of the things that I've noticed, that we notice, everybody kind of noticed, because there's a lot of bickering or texting, I guess, online, is Jake Paul finally made it to the OTC. I mean, I know we talked about it, but it's kind of happening now. So, any thoughts on it? Is your mindset still the same? Like, I mean, not really sure why he's there, but he's there.
I don't understand. Pro boxing and amateur boxing, two totally different sports. He has no amateur boxing experience, no amateur boxing pedigree, no amateur boxing history. The only benefit I could see, publicity or something like that. But do we really want that crowd? Who knows? Yeah. But I'm not mad at it. And then you got, on the other hand, is he a distraction?
Hey, I can see arguments.
If you look at a lot of what he does and his brother's fight with Floyd, and there's a lot of extracurricular activities going on outside the ring, a lot of cameras, a lot of stuff like that. So I don't know. I didn't understand the logic of bringing him in, but like I said, amateur boxing doesn't really have fans. It's moms, dads, and other boxers. So if they're trying to bring fans to amateur boxing, I'm all for it. Show them boxing.
Exactly, and I think that's the thing. I've still got a big question mark as to, like, I could understand him being involved with the boxers and trying to get exposure, because there's no denying he has a big platform. Eyes that we usually don't see boxing, but there's a big platform. There's a lot of following. Him being in the OTC, I'm still kind of scratching my head. I'm not sure. He's getting the better end of it because he's getting some work, and I'm sure Joshua Edwards or whoever was in there trying to get some work, they'll probably make sure to touch him up a little bit, making sure that they do his thing. But he has no amateur background. It's a whole different situation. I just think Jake Paul is getting the better end of this deal.
Yeah, and it could be whoever decided to do this. It might be a genius move, but that remains to be seen. Mm-hmm. But we have the last male gold medalist is Andre Ward. Why isn't he there?
Right.
Yeah, and then you've got plenty of guys that have history with the program. We hardly ever see them come back anymore, or at all.
Right. And I thought it was changing a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, when I started to see this kind of partnership, I guess I would call it. I don't know if there was an actual name
with Sean?
with Sean Porter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So obviously Sean Porter has a history in the amateur system, kind of
Olympic
came
alternate,
came up doing that. I mean, I thought that was going to be a great way to really, like you said, boxers that came through the program, went the pros and did their thing, come back and kind of do that. I thought that made all the perfect sense. And then crickets, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, especially with a guy like that has a really good commentating career outside of the boxing.
He has a podcast.
Podcast, one of the best boxing podcasts out there. Yep. And most of these other guys be on YouTube just yelling and screaming. They're pretty retarded, but like probably one of the best boxing podcasts out there. I thought that would have been really cool. Or a guy with a story, bring a Danny Jacobs back.
Yeah.
I don't know if a lot of people remember Danny from the amateurs, the baddest dude around for a while. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Right. Yeah. And kind of went into the pros too. He was kind of avoided for a while. Like Danny Jack, nobody really wanted to get him in the ring with him.
He won 13 fights in 12 months or something like that. When he first signed, he was with Golden Boy. Then he got knocked out by Dimitri Pirog. who was a very underrated fighter.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, super
that was
sneaky. Yeah, and then when he came back, had that cancer diagnosis. So you know what I mean. So
right.
yeah,
Yeah, I think there's not a lack of options. I think it's Jake Paul is the shiny new toy. It seems to kind of have a lot of attention, and they just said, hey, let's go that route. Uh, you know, it,
he
it is
fits the social media era.
yeah. There you go. It is kind of this era is unique in that aspect. It's the social media and obviously it opens a lot of doors. You know what I mean? And so that's happening there with Jake Paul. They're getting ready for Thailand. Like we mentioned, it was real busy just a couple of weeks ago with the National Open and the qualifiers happening. So just a quick recap: we have one, two, three, four, six boxers qualified, three males, three females. Jamal Harvey at 125, at 71 or at 156. Mari Jones just qualified in Italy. Joshua Edwards at 203 plus. He made it out there. Jennifer Lozano at 110. Jahaira at 132, and Morel McCain at 146. So the rest of the boxers are getting ready to go over there and compete. I know a lot of boxers are going to the OTC for camp. Getting ready and just
Because they got Pueblo coming up next in about 3 weeks.
Okay, so that do you know are
Ari's headed out there.
okay.
Lisa's headed out there.
Is it boxers outside of the qualification team that are competing? Or is it?
No. It's some of them are outside of the qualification team.
Okay.
But they're probably in your top 3 or 4. The boxers that won quite a few national championships or won the trials are going to Pueblo. So yeah.
Yeah, and we'll as it gets closer, there'll be more information out there. But if it was like last time, good amount of competition. USA did real good. We had some brackets where it was USA against USA in the finals or
Yeah,
semifinals.
so I think there's going to be about 2 in every bracket unless we got an Olympian qualifier.
Yeah. So there's a lot of work in the elites now that's happening. We for the youth, I haven't seen, but I know that they're getting international, getting ready for. I forgot which tournament, but they're going to be competing internationally later this year.
Yeah, and then they've got different weight classes. So I got a list somewhere. The certain athletes got to go up or down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say between 1 to 3.5 kilos in difference in weight. So, like I think Manny Chance probably has to go up 1 kilo because he's at 54 kilos. I
Mm-hmm.
think on the paper said 55. So that means Marcus Luther, I think is at 57, would
Mm-hmm.
have to go down to 55 or go up to 60 kilos or something like that. I got the email sent somewhere.
Yeah, definitely. Which really gives us a really good look at the boxers that you're going to see for the most part or in contention when they go into the elite, making those teams, Team USA at the elite level. I mean, and you have a lot of exciting fighters coming up. You just mentioned a couple, just Emmanuel Chance, Marcus Luther, who seems to get a lot of attention everywhere. Everybody knows, who this kid is just at youth. And it's going to give us a good look to see kind of what that crop is going to look like for um, 28 potentially.
I think this youth team right now should be your front runners for 28. Speaking of most of these elites now are probably going to turn pro, at least on the men's side for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe your top 3 or 4 might all go pro. Some of them have already went pro.
Yeah.
So unless Dedrick stays, then Dedrick will be your favorite going forward
Right.
at 39. Yeah.
Right. So there's really a lot of decisions. Like you said, usually after the Olympic trials, a lot of people end up going pro. Ryan Sepulteca is going to do the Team Combat
Team
League.
Combat League. I'm excited about Team Combat League this year. More teams.
Yeah.
Brought in some pros to own teams. And coach Austin Trout's coaching or owning the Houston team or something like that. Sam Ginnethan's is fighting.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
Sweet,
She moved
sweet.
over there. A kid I know from out of El Paso, Texas, Brandon White. He's like 12-0. He's headed over to one of the teams in Team Combat League. They're talking trash. It's fun. It seems like it's a good time. I wouldn't really consider it pro boxing because it's that one round apiece thing, but
yeah.
it's fun. I guess it keeps a little excitement, and I think it's for people that don't, I guess, really know boxing or kept up with the scene. I think it's easier to like a team than it is to like an individual. So
yeah, no, and it does make it interesting because it's one round and then you just kind of circle through the boxers, different weight classes. But yeah, there's a lot of amateurs kind of going to that route, and a million more is going to be in one of the
a million more,
teams.
and then Shariah fights Saturday, but then she's headed to the Philly Smoke team, so.
Oh, so she's also doing
Both,
team combat. Oh, okay, all right. So I think it's great. It's another alternative to some of these pro boxers who maybe are getting difficult getting bouts. It be able because you gotta qualify, right? Or you gotta go to tryouts and you gotta be able to kind of go through that whole process.
It keeps some change in your pocket too. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You get paid as a pro, so you do get some money there. Plus, I think it's new enough. The whole team system is new enough that I think it's getting a lot of attention. People are just out of curiosity. They're looking at it, but if you're in those teams, you're able to get your name out there and in front of people that maybe you might not have.
And there's some pros that didn't get some work for years, especially on the women's side, that are putting their foot in there. Like I think Ronica Jeffries, Melissa St. Ville. Then at the last season, you had what's her name out of DC, Lady Tiger. She was on there. So I think it's an opportunity for some of these women to kind of like, hey man, y'all miss me. Here I am. Because some of these girls really had skills. You know what I mean?
Yeah, most definitely. And talking about just female boxing, real quick. Probably the biggest matchup this weekend for sure is. Sinisa Superbad Estrada against
Joss is going to she's
going. Joss is going out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
She really likes Sinisa a lot and versus Vale. It's a big one. It's a big one, especially for the smaller girls. Yeah.
It's I'm pumped for it. I'm excited to see it.
And Arizona's a good boxing state. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's a real good boxing state.
Definitely. So that's gonna be good to see. It's a lot more happening. A lot of these bigger cards have some of these co-main that have some interesting matchups and if you notice some of those matchups, they're big matchups, and top boxer against top boxer, so it makes it entertaining.
I think that's necessary to keep the sport alive.
Yeah, you in the male side as well.
Yeah, you can't fight a tomato can all the time.
Yeah. No, exactly. So that's happening, and that's ESPN Plus. Because nowadays you gotta have your apps in order.
Man, I got so many apps here.
That was yesterday.
I gotta go BXNG TV for some. I gotta go Fight TV for another. Pro Box TV, DAZN, ESPN Plus. Man, I'm all apped out. Ain't no memory left on my phone, man.
And I gotta, say, ProPox is doing awesome.
I love it.
The matchups are great. Whoever's doing the matchmaking, just hats off. Interesting. They just had some great bouts. Nicholas Walter. We were talking a little bit. He was there headlining against Joseph Ardono. So we've known and just good matchups. They're consistent. You had made a point that it's in the middle of the week, so you don't have any football to compete or anything else,
basketball,
nothing like that. So awesome, it's great, and it's free. You just got to download the app.
Got to download the app every 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, so
every 2 weeks. I think last time we had that, ESPN was consistent with Friday night fights. Showtime was consistent with Boxing After Dark, and even before that, I think you had USA Network with the Tuesday night fights, and then ABC way back in the gap had ABC's Wide World of Sports. Yeah.
man, I'm telling you, it's a different world. Update. We're waiting for Leroy Clark the jump on. He said he's going to be here in about 10 minutes, so we'll just kind of continue discussing and then and just catch up with him. He had a big tournament, right? He's based in New Mexico now. Albuquerque came out and did his thing. So we'll talk to him about that. But you know, let me just ask you just your opinion. You mentioned it earlier, and I kind of curious about it. When you have a boxer that just naturally starts slower, in the amateurs, it really spells trouble.
Yeah,
What's the stat? If you win, if you don't win the first round, it's really difficult
and,
to come out on
and
top. How do you kind of get past that and be able to get them to get started a little sooner?
all right. So yeah, I think the statistic is like 80 or 82% of people that win the first round win the bout. With the live scoring, the second round is when the adjustments come in. It's the most telling. Um, Especially because if you know your head, you're going to lay back in round three. A lot of people just to protect the win.
Yeah.
So I had this question, and I talked to Coach Khalil Harvey about it. I asked him on the phone. We was talking, and he said, "Hey, sometimes you just gotta change the way you sparring, and if they're not picking it up, they're sparring. Stop. It's over.
Mm, okay.
Come back tomorrow. We're trying to get."
Huh. Okay. Just like boom, right there. Yeah, I
Yeah, I was
get.
like, the man might be a genius there. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's
Yeah,
like, if
like
they ain't doing what you want, all right, let's get out of my ring. I was like, okay. You know what I mean? And I'm not afraid to ask. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I
yeah.
ask questions of coaches all the time, and I was
No,
like,
most definitely.
that was interesting. You know what I mean? I was really interested in that one. That
And,
right there.
it reminded me because I had a coach. I was kind of seeing he was coaching one of his and he did a similar situation where he wanted the boxer to do a particular setup or some follow some sort of instruction. He did not do it, and he literally stopped the sparring right there and said, "You know what? Get out, literally get the other guys in there." And I think it did at the moment. You're like, "Wait, what?" Like you're
Yeah,
thinking you're kind of getting into a groove and it's not working. I think it does kind of stick with them a little bit more. Like, oh, okay, like he
yeah.
ain't playing.
Better do what he said. Yeah,
He's
yeah,
not playing. Like you're gonna do it, and yeah, because I think there's a lot of boxers in the amateur level who have tremendous skills, right?
yeah,
But we've talked about it where we think maybe they're a little bit more suited to a pro style or a pro type atmosphere, just because they start slow. They kind of they sit under punches a little bit more, so the pace is a little slower. That doesn't mean that they're a bad boxer. They just said for this particular sport, because it is a different sport than the pro game. It just doesn't work, and it does. Some people do figure it out. Some boxers do figure it out. Some don't, and but it's not because the skill is not there. You see what I'm saying? It's like
yeah,
it's just a different. They're executing a different game plan where they should have kind of
yeah. And
tried to
then
tweak.
also, I guess I wouldn't, because I get a lot of flack in my inbox about bashing judges all the time, but I think the regional styles affect how it's scored. Right? You're supposed to land the punches, not just throw the punches. Right?
Right,
Uh, Defense should be counted. You know what I mean? That's part of that technical and tactical superiority thing.
right.
So, but there's certain regional styles that just get on the front foot and throw punches, and that you pretty much are going to win. I think that affects it a lot. Also, even amateur boxers, a lot of them aren't amateur boxing fans. They watch pro boxing. They're fighting
That's
3 minutes. They're
yeah,
fighting 12 rounds. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
If am I going to go watch, no, Joe Jr. over here, or am I going to go home and watch Canelo on TV? I'm probably going to go watch Canelo. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah, I'm
No,
going to pick
yeah,
up Canelo and pick up his mannerisms, going to pick up his pace, stuff like that.
definitely, and that's nailed right on the head because we've had several boxers saying here, like, no, I watch pro boxing, like I go compete and then I'm out, like they really don't kind of sit and see what they're doing, or Team USA when they're on the streams or whatever, and it just makes sense that maybe they do pick up some of those things because there was about I forgot what tournament it was, but it was Moises Rodriguez, who we know is a spectacular boxer. He competed against LJ Patricio. I think it was Lorenzo Patricio, and it was. I think it's not that Moises was not skilled enough to be able to kind of decipher. I think that LJ's style was just more suited for the amateur game because of the footwork. The footwork was a little bit more easy. He was able to give him angles and get out of the way. Where
I feel the same way about the trials with Dedrick Crocklum and Rashawn.
Okay, right there you go. That's another example where it's more of a style clash. And it just so happens that one boxer's style is just not rewarded as much.
Here's with Lafayette when he got cut, right?
Right. I think that it was. Yeah. So, it just kind of happens that the style does matter. Now, is that something that the coach kind of has to pick up and say, hey, you know what? Like, I need to switch something up a little bit here to give him a better shot, at least, from terms of the judges.
Yes and no. So a lot of coaches be on the phone sometimes, and I heard one of the coaches say, "I ain't changing nothing because the plan is to go pro. We just here to see all the styles." So if that's your roadmap, then don't change nothing. Just see the styles, do what you got to do, make the adjustments necessary that you, the coach, personally are happy with. I think. Now, if you're going out there to win these tournaments, you know what I mean, go win them. You know what I mean? You're going to have – it's necessary to make those. You know what I mean? Now, at the end of the day, you got to get a W. So, I think even the prior, you still got to find a way to win. So, yeah, it's on the coach to make those changes. But, yeah, I've heard quite a few say, like, oh, man, look, we're here to go pro. We don't like the amateur boxing. Mm-hmm. They have I guess, beef with USA Boxing or the amateur scoring or whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, you got to go try to get a W. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. The end result, it does carry a lot of weight. It is about experience in the amateur game, but you gotta win. You gotta be able to figure a way to advance in the tournament.
Yeah, because there's some coaches out there I think are really, really great coaches. I think like Andrew Council is one of them. Like fought Bernard Hopkins, fought Robert Allen, fought Buddy McGirt. He's been around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
A lot of his kids aren't in amateurs that long.
No,
they tend to be. A lot of them tend to be pros right away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But also, he came up in the era where you didn't have to stay in amateurs that long. Also, you know what I mean? The promoters actually had to go to pro fights to see you, or go to amateur fights to see you. There was no. Just look at the results or let's look at social media to see the guy. So, yeah, it remains to be seen. You know what I mean?
Right. And, that brings up another question. And it said, we're just killing a little bit of time while our guest jumps on. Leroy Clark, New Mexico, is going to jump on. We're just kind of just discussing kind of what's happening, just different topics. But, one of the things that I've noticed with like the amateur game and then the pro game, they're so different. How important is it to stay? Well, I guess it's the end plan. Like, is it required for you to have a big or a substantial amateur career to really? Because remember, we had a Giovanni Cruz just in the last episode. He already has 50 bouts. He's not even a bantam. Like, is it going to be a minimum requirement? Not requirement is probably not the best word, but 100 bouts in the amateur system to really give you enough experience to jump to the pros? Is there like a minimum, or just get as much experience as you can and jump over? Like, how much of a requirement is in an amateur career nowadays?
Well, pro boxing is an easy sport to go pro in, right? If you pass a physical and send the license fee with your picture, get your federal ID and send the commission your money with your picture, you get a license, right? No experience necessary. We see it all the time, right? Especially on local cards where the dude could be a bum, or you're fighting Juarez, or you're fighting Casa Grandes, or you're fighting TJ or something like that.
Right.
No real experience required. Now, to be successful, I do think it's necessary to have a good amount of experience, see some styles. You know what I mean? Can you have an overabundance of experience? Yes, I think you could be an amateur so long you never really transition into the pro style of boxing. But then again, you get guys that go south of the border, turn pro really young. Even the ones like Salito had 6 losses early in his career. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's OJT. That's on the job training. You know what I mean? So I think though I do think a fair amount of amateur boxing is required for you to see the styles, to get used to getting hit and stuff like that. Where except for heavyweights, I think
That's
George Foreman got an Olympic gold medal with about 24, 25 amateur fights. Anthony Joshua wasn't too far behind with them. I think you can get away because the heavyweights tend to be,
right.
especially in this country, converted athletes from other sports.
Right.
You know, but I think anything below that, you've got to put in your time in the ring. You know what I mean? And then most gyms here in this country, there's no real amateur exclusive gyms. Most gyms have a pro or two in there. You know what I mean? So.
Right. Yeah, no, that's true. And I'm in complete agreement. I think that there is a good amount of experience that you do need. How much that is, I think it kind of depends. There's a lot of variables. It depends on
if you're ready.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you're going to be the one in there. You feel like you're capable enough to make that transition. If pro is the target, if that is the goal, then yeah, you know, everything should be kind of maneuvered and decided in those routes. Like, okay, you know, I'm going to be on the job training, then that's what it's going to be, and you know, try to get some bouts against, you know, when you start, you know, some matchups that are favor you, to kind of get some wins under your belt. But the thing is that you also kind of have to move that boxer right, and that's why boxing is so interesting, I guess.
I think matchmaking is an art.
Oh my goodness, it
is.
is.
I think Bruce Trampler might be the best in history to do it, but yeah, matchmaking is an art.
Yeah, most definitely, because you don't want to you know, open the doors to get you a great opportunity, but then the experience and the skill does not match that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
and I just gotta like forewarn some of these people out there. There's a lot of guys out there that get access to fights and they're trying to sell you to get you these fights. A lot of them are just booking agents. They aren't really matchmakers. You know what I mean? The matchmaker generally, there's a few independent ones that are really good, but or it's just a dude with a Rolodex full of numbers. But there's some guys that work for the companies. I thought Robert Diaz, he used to be Marco Antonio Barrera's manager, and then he was Golden Boy's matchmaker during the Richard Schaefer era and a little after. I think he was a brilliant matchmaker. Bruce Trampler over at Top Rank, of course, great matchmaker. I think there's guys out there that it's an art to them. They know how to build a fighter. I think Top Rank builds pro prospects really, really well.
Yeah, most definitely. And you know, that is the goal for a lot of the amateurs competing now. Amateurs that are going to get, you know, into the sport, is going pro. That, you know, that's their target. But there's a lot that do want to go to the Olympics, and now with 28, you know, the next target. There's still a lot of question marks, and the push now is I forgot what the hashtag is, but World Boxing seems to
they're going to get it.
Yeah, they have they don't have it yet, which is some sort of qualification or
they need to be around. So they needed to be around 2 years to apply, and 5 years. So the 24 year is going to be 28 years is going to be the 5th year, I believe, or right at it, 27 or 28. But also, I think the International Congress of Sport is having a hearing about AIBA. And what happens is if they disregard AIBA or persona non grata them, the countries that still recognize AIBA as their boxing thing lose what's called Olympic solidarity funding. And that's not just boxing funding, that's sport funding. Oh. So it covers all your sports. So I believe World Boxing is going to get it.
Yeah. I think, I mean, I don't think there's another organization out there kind of set up for that. And World Boxing had their, back in November, they had the first meeting. They assigned, and people were able to vote. There were people going up for certain seats out there, and it seems like everything's on the up and up, and everybody knows exactly kind of what the goal is, what the target is. Because it was stated, I believe, I don't have the information in front of me, that no matter what, AIBA is not going to be a part of it. There's got to be a different organization.
They go. Besides that, I think they headed to pro boxing anyway.
Yeah.
I watched that kid Abel Mendoza. He's fighting in Team Combat League too. Dude's like 40, but like he fought like an exhibition in Russia, and it was a pro card, but it was AIBA.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, they're definitely, if you see a lot of their shows, very pro, put together. They I don't know. That's what they're gonna go, which is fine. They can do what they want.
I've always felt they wanted to head toward pro boxing anyway. The WSB, they had that organization called AIBA Pro Boxing too. So I always felt they were headed that way, mainly because either you're just dumping money into amateur boxing to see no returns, or go to pro boxing where you can probably make some money. So
right, and the thing is that they definitely did make a lot of those the World Championship, all those tournaments that they kind of held, there was a production value to it, and I think I don't know, World Boxing will probably pick as far as they would organize championships and so on and so forth. I guess the biggest question is, when do these countries kind of make that transition to World Boxing
when their finances are threatened?
Yeah, you threatened the money bag.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you threaten that, and they'll definitely start changing their tune. So we're still waiting on here on Leroy. By the time he gets on, we're just gonna have a couple questions to ask him, but we're gonna chat with him and see. And he's had a good run. It's probably another boxer who's probably has pro in the horizon, as far as
being that size. I don't see why not.
Yeah, and he's got a good amount of experience.
New Mexico or Albuquerque is never short on promoters,
right.
Or casinos. So plenty of places for him to fight. You know what I mean? Even if he doesn't get a big contract, there's plenty of promoters there. You got Legacy Promotions. I know the Sanchez brothers have a contact with Top Rank. Then you've got Isidro Castillo, the man who will promote any and everything, is active there. You know what I mean? So
yeah, there's opportunity. There's and especially for a heavyweight, right? They want to see them go out there, and because that's the casual boxing fan would always kind of gravitate to the heavier, because they want to see knockouts.
And the last guy they had anywhere near his size in New Mexico was Bob Foster.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. So, we're kind of hanging tight, waiting for him to show up here. But I think we mentioned it. Nathan Lugo's, going pro. Got that whole video and all that stuff ready to jump out next month. Who else is going pro? Troy Nash already went pro, so he's already looking to stay busy. Yeah, for fight number 2.
Chada's already pro. Did you see that? It seemed like Jordan Fuentes was headed that way. That Golden Boy press conference. It was I know the show's in Fresno, the headline by a Fresno guy, but they were kind of all over him there too. I anticipate it's Golden Glove season now, so in the next few months, I think you'll see a lot more people go pro. Rashawn's already went pro. It's quite a few people went pro. So.
All right, we got Leroy in, so we're gonna bring him in for the last half hour of the podcast here, and maybe we'll ask him that question as well. Let's see. Hey, champ, how we doing?
Good. How are y'all?
Doing good, doing good. Hey, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. I know you're rushing to the location and all that stuff, but
yes, sir.
We're gonna get right into it. We have a little bit of time here. Go ahead and say full name, city and state, and the name of the gym that you train at.
Leroy Clark, Albuquerque, New Mexico, and Power Plant.
Power plant. Okay. First question I ask everyone is, how do you get involved with boxing?
My first love was mixed martial arts, and I was in Texas a few years ago. And my dad introduced me introduced me to a boxing coach out there that where he was lifting weights at, and that's how I got started into it. And like I've watched like the greats, Muhammad Ali, Roy Jones, and those type of fighters growing up. So I always had a love for the sport.
All right, how you end up in Albuquerque?
That's where the better training facilities are at.
When you came to Albuquerque for boxing, or you came to Albuquerque for MMA?
Boxing.
Okay, so you linked up with somebody from Albuquerque while you was living in Texas?
No, my father ended up taking a data center job in Albuquerque, and once we made that transition, it took me a minute to find a spot to call home, but once it happened, the rest is history.
Oh yeah, and before we ask another question, ain't nobody stuck a basketball in your head?
They tried to. I come
All right,
from
thank God
a
you
long.
didn't take. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh man. Now, did you do any other sports coming up? We just mentioned basketball a little bit, but any other sports besides mixed martial arts or any combat sport?
Um, in middle school, I did do basketball and football, but my heart wasn't in that.
And what was it about it? Was it just the just differences between a team sport and an individual sport, or what was it?
Exactly. That's exactly what it was.
All right, and what are you? What 6'6", somewhere up there? You pretty tall.
Yes, sir. Six
Eh,
six.
yeah. When did you discover you were going to be this tall as a person, and did it immediately like heavyweight? Did you like I'm gonna be a heavyweight?
So freshman year, that's whenever I ended up being like 6'3", and by the time that I graduated, I sprouted up to 6'6".
Jeez.
And oddly enough, when I started boxing, my weight class was 176. So
Oh,
I put on a lot of weight over the years.
oh yeah, man, you was a string bean.
Absolutely.
Man. But now you're competing at the 203-pound division, as of
203
late.
plus too.
203, yeah,
Yes, sir.
definitely. So tell me about that. When you started to compete at these USA boxing national tournaments, these tournaments attract every boxer from across the U.S., top boxers in every age and weight class. Just walk us through your first tournament, how you did, and just how you kind of took everything in, and more importantly, what got you back in the gym afterwards.
So my first national tournament was Golden Glove Nationals 2 years ago in Tulsa. And I got to I think the preliminary rounds. I lost in my second round, and then I did Lubbock, Texas that December, and I was out the first round. Just getting that experience and being able to see people compete at the highest level, that just kept me hungry for more. So even after the shortcomings, I treat them all as lessons. I was right back in the gym right after those lessons.
Yeah, so you turned around. I think you won Summerfest in 23 back in Lubbock.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, then you qualified for the trials in 2 weight
Yes,
classes.
yes, sir.
And you had been boxing how long at the time?
Not long. I'm still a young pup in this. I'm like 5 years into it.
Okay, how many fights you got?
Just under 40.
Man, all right.
Okay. Out of those 40 bouts, you have a bout that stands out, like you got a memorable bout, or maybe one that you learned a lot from.
Um, it was actually a local bout. So this fighter is actually he's pro now, and this out of my almost 40 fights, I've never been rocked in a fight up until I fought him. Like I still remember it. And my coach will ask me, he was like, this person hit harder than this person. Like, nah, that's still the hardest puncher I've ever been in the ring with. And just being able to bounce back from adversity and still come out on top of that in that fight was, I felt good. And that's the one that still stands out. I think that was like maybe my 15th fight too.
Yeah.
Okay. What's his name?
Dominic Berry.
Okay. uh, so you moved to Albuquerque, start boxing. Albuquerque's a boxing town. You got Bobby Foster's from Albuquerque, probably top 3 greatest, if not the greatest light heavyweight of all time, right? You got Johnny Tapia, that's Johnny City. You got Danny Romero, and then you show up and start boxing there, and then you just won a tournament in that town where you live, which is a boxing town. Tell us what that felt like.
It was amazing. I got a lot of love. People showed nothing but support throughout that tournament, and that feeling that I got being able to compete and now my second home, it was unreal. It's indescribable.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And this sport is for all the physical attributes and just learning the technique of the sport and all that. It's very much mental, right? You gotta be ready to compete, right? It's a combat
Right.
sport. You not only are you worried about you executing your offensive plan, but being able to take whatever the other opponent is bringing at you because he wants to win as well. So
Right.
say you get you getting your hands wrapped, you're a couple bouts out. Like, how are you getting mentally prepared to get in there? How you have conversation with coach. Like, is it you mentally, like, how are you getting ready to go through those ropes?
So going through those ropes, I like to be by myself. I like to isolate myself. Like while I'm warming up, I just put on some of my favorite music and I just self-isolate. And normally, like for me, my jitters and nerves hit me like the week of the fight rather than the day of. And so like just when I'm really getting into that mode to lock in and getting ready to fight, when I know it's real is the day of and I'm just by myself and locked in, listening to my motivation and then my coach, he always makes sure I'm in good spirits whenever he's wrapping my hands. And most of the time, we're laughing and joking, like while he's wrapping my hands and while I'm hitting the mitts. So it's always good energy.
Okay, so what you listening to?
I listen, I listen to a lot of ESTG. So my go to is the Realist with him and Young Jeezy. So I'm from Georgia originally. So
Okay,
yeah,
that makes sense now.
Yeah,
yes sir.
yeah.
That
Now,
makes sense.
real quick, Terry, before you go in, you're talking about you just getting a little bit of jitters, kind of that week up to it.
Mm,
Like, how do you
mhm.
overcome that? Because a lot of boxers out there, a lot of young boxers too, they get nervous. It's just part of the sport. How do you overcome that to make sure that they're not hindering you when it's time to compete?
Believing in the work that I put in and day out. I'm in the gym 7 days out of the week. So I I put in the work. So and that's what I gotta remind myself every time that I'm going into a big fight or just a local show.
All right, so you kind of came into boxing late, but you're in the weight class where most people come in late. Um, you've won more than one major national tournament. Um, how far are you trying to take? Not boxing, amateur boxing.
Honestly, I wanna win the Golden Glove national title the next Summerfest and whatever comes after that.
Okay, well, you got what regional Golden Gloves next week? Because you
Yes,
got the
sir.
New Mexico win and Colorado's doing their competing.
Yes,
They
sir.
start tonight. So you got regional Golden Gloves next week, and then where's national Golden Gloves? Detroit.
Detroit, yes, sir.
Okay. Hmm.
Yeah,
All right,
so
and then no, you're 6'6".
Yes, sir.
Have they? I'm surprised. Are they knocking down your door yet? Like, hey man, we got a check for you.
Man, that's what I'm waiting for.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
you
Say
keep winning
less.
these nationals, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And,
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
okay,
You're
Yes,
it'll
in the
sir.
right place
come.
where you are.
Sponsors
Yeah.
and all of that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
probably coming because the person that hit me to you, even probably before you won a national tournament, was Yoruba.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
That whole family is
Shariah's
always
fighting
showing love
and
to
got a
me.
major manager. You know what I mean? So it's
Hmm.
coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Much much love to them. They've always been showing love to me. So
Yeah, definitely shout out to the Homeroom clan. They always
absolutely,
doing it,
absolutely.
keep it at 100. So you know, I want to say I kind of went through the social media just to kind of take a look at some clips, and you've been interviewed by the local news and such, as you were working on to the Olympic trials. How did that feel? Like, not it's not just you, and coach and some of your teammates. Like, you got outside people. You got people in the community kind of knowing what you're doing, what you're striving
Right.
for, and how was that whole experience like? And when you did that and they came out to talk to you?
You know, that's another one of those feelings to where like that's just something you dream of being on the news. I never saw myself doing something like that, and now like I'm a role model to the youth in Albuquerque, all around New Mexico, my family back in Georgia, things like that. So is I'm still taking it all in because naturally I'm an introvert. So getting all this attention and stuff like that, it can be overwhelming at times, but I'm dealing with it.
Okay. So you fought 203 Summerfest last year,
Yes,
and then
sir.
you fought 203 plus at the last chance and the trials. Because you're so tall and it's obvious that you're probably going to be a heavyweight, that has there been a push for you to like pack on the pounds? Because in the realm of heavyweight boxing, you kind of small.
I am. And what I get away with it being as agile as I am. I never get away with my fundamentals. My
Yeah.
fundamentals and my footwork is nothing fancy. And packing on the extra muscle is it's gonna slow me down. I might get stronger, but it's gonna slow me down. And I like having the advantage getting in between those rings, get in the ring.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Um, I've seen you compete a couple times. Coach seen you compete a couple times. If somebody hasn't seen you just yet, describe yourself. What's your boxing style? What are you trying to do when you get in the ring? To your opponent.
Honestly, it's just to make them feel like they don't belong in the ring with me. That's what it boils down to.
Shit, I
That's
love
it.
that.
Okay.
You don't
I
belong
wanna,
here. Okay, I love it. I love that.
but at the end of the day, it's all love, respect to anybody that gets in there. But they know what time it is whenever they get in. We know what we signed up for. So whenever I'm in there, I gotta make you feel like you don't belong in there with me.
Ooh, there we go. I like that.
Okay. And then just watching you fight, just looking at your frame, you average about 4 inches taller than most people that come in the ring with you, and they all have the same dumbass game plan.
That's
which is
analysis for
which
you right
is
there.
charge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, is that your preferred style to box against because you see it so often?
I mean, it's not. I don't necessarily have a preferred style, but if I had to pick, I love being in there with somebody that's technical that can mix it up. I sometimes the being the matador versus the bull gets exhausting, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's good cardio.
yeah. Yeah. It's to see so quite a few of them is just like, hey, he's taller and longer. Run in there with your head
Yeah.
down, try to throw overhand, and pray to God he don't throw an uppercut.
And normally, like I'll be watching my opponents hit the mitts. I'm like, okay, I know exactly what he gonna do. So
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Now, I'm assuming most of your opponents are shorter than you. Have you had somebody where they're about your height that maybe kind of like got you, not confused, but like, wait, you usually shorter. Like, what's
so
happening?
at a last chance qualifier, I fought this big guy from Texas, Ethan Eads. He's like 6'7", 6'8",
Oh wow,
and
bigger
he
than
was a
you.
little yeah, and and he threw his punch output was insane, but
Oh wow.
I still ended up winning that fight. And then my first fight at this the National Open, this guy was, I think he was about 6'7",
The
six
kid
seven,
from
six
Texas.
eight, yeah,
Yeah,
about 340.
yeah. He
Yeah,
wasn't very coordinated though.
Yeah, RSC.
Hey,
I believe
hey,
that was
it
an
was it
RSC.
was
yeah,
it was like
yeah,
left
and
hand,
it's
send it, bing,
right.
bing. Yeah,
No answer.
none.
Man,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. He didn't belong there.
Hey, that's how it goes. But yeah, when you go into a tournament, we had some boxers jump on there, like, the first bout, they still got them butterflies, that go in there. Like, how did you feel going into the National Open after, having a setback at the trials, didn't go advance as much as you had wanted to,
Right.
did you have a little extra when you were trying to, going through training camp and everything to make sure, what, I'm going to show everybody who I really am. Like, how was that leading up to the National Open?
So was just telling myself that like I have the skill set, I have everything that I need. I just needed the confidence. And once I dialed in and locked in and was smiling, like leading up to it, like smiling at him, knowing that he's bigger than me and outweighed me. It's like I was excited. It's like, he's not bringing anything new to the table. So it was just the confidence that I got in there with that got me through the tournament. And that's going to get me through these next tournaments.
Okay, so what's sparring look like for you? First of all, if there's a bunch of heavyweight people in Albuquerque, they're probably like 5'5", 5'7".
Exactly.
So like, what's it like getting work for you? Are you calling people, or is it just in-house work? Are you having to tone it down and spar the smaller people, or are you getting on the road and going to see what's up on the road?
See, that's why I'm in Colorado now.
Where you at? I'm in Colorado, so where you at?
I'm in the Denver area.
Are you in Denver? Well, they got Golden Gloves this weekend, so
So I'll be sparring. So you probably know Alonzo Neal then.
Yeah.
That's who I'm out here to spar.
Okay, good. Hey, good on you. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna say, like, yeah, you're about a foot taller than the average person in Albuquerque.
Right.
So
Yeah,
if they're heavyweight, they probably drink a lot.
yeah, it's frustrating. That's why we got to travel a lot to get people around my size.
And how often are y'all traveling for work?
Probably a few times out of the month.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Is Denver the furthest trip, or y'all going further?
Yeah, Denver's the furthest we've been for sparring.
Okay.
And it's been consistent. The altitude is a little higher than Albuquerque, so it's good work.
I think y'all about right the same. Denver ain't really that high. Springs is higher, but it really high. But when y'all was that 7 hours?
Yeah, 6.5. Yep.
6. Whoo, buddy.
Man.
Wait, what kind of car did y'all drive? Because I don't think you fit in the normal automobile comfortably for a long trip.
Coach wants to know everything.
I know. I gotta know, like, how.
Yeah. Hey,
he ain't like he drove in a Miata. You know what I mean?
Nah, I drove out here in my Dodge Charger. There's more than enough room in there.
Oh, you got some room? Okay, yeah. I didn't want you cramped up.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate Leroy talking to us, like, going through the trip and doing all that stuff. So,
of course.
We got a couple other questions to shoot at you, but this is 3 Rounds Live, number 182. We're talking to Leroy Clark out of New Mexico, heavyweight. Just picked up a great national championship win over at the National Open in his current hometown in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So did it where he's supposed to, and is feeling good about that, and is out in Colorado right now trying to get some work, because boxing never stops, right? 24/7. This is what it is. You want to get work, you make time to do that. So, but one thing that did jump out at me was about, I don't want to say struggling with, or just kind of overcoming, maybe some self-confidence and stuff when you compete and stuff. You're kind of in a role model type role now, right? The younger kids, I'm assuming, coming up to you, maybe some from the gym. Like, if you have a young boxer that is struggling with those type of situations where the self-confidence is maybe not there, is kind of hindering them being able to compete, what would you tell them? How would you help them maybe overcome some of the issues that you had to overcome to be at the position that you are at now?
Just really had to believe into my skill set and the work that my coaches put in, because it starts with the coaches too. Because like, if the coaches like aren't putting in the dedicated time like they should be, like my coach does, then it's definitely going to show. We see that at a lot of local events. Like, the coaches aren't they'll say no to certain fights because this person has X amount of fights, and when they finally get in there, it's that, like, we saw a handful of these hometown kids at this last tournament. Some of these, they were on their 5th fight going up against somebody who had 50, and and we know the outcome of something like that. So it starts with the coach, put in the work, and then the kids they have to believe in themselves as well. Put in the extra work too. Like if you know your cardio ain't there, get out there and run. Nobody likes running, but get out there
Hey,
and
you're gonna
run.
have to tell Coach Terry that. What else you got, Coach?
I was just gonna say, turning down all them fights is why nobody's gonna remember their name.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you got a magic wand. You are Leroy, the magician or wizard, Harry Potter, and you can fix anything about this sport of boxing for the better from any perspective: the fan, the media, the fighter, the coach, the pro or amateur. You fix it. Have at it.
Honestly, the people who have never laced up a pair of gloves, they shouldn't have an opinion at all.
Yeah. No, there's especially with the social media age that you guys are kind of living with, especially you guys going to the pro. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that where they should have done this, done that, and
Right.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, their address should be attached, and you got to see me. Yeah,
right. Just come spar.
Tell me how to jab again.
Right. If it's that easy, come show me.
Yeah.
Most definitely. It's for the amount of time that you've kind of been dedicated to boxing. You're winning tournaments. You're in the right place. You're traveling to go get work. You're definitely kind of seem to be following a path that you guys are trying to get to. And you mentioned your coach several times, right? So tell us about Coach. How do you kind of how's that relationship like? And just a little bit about that.
It's like a big brother relationship. Like big brother, little brother situation. He's always is deeper than boxing. There's a real brotherhood there, and that's what makes the training process and everything just go by smoothly. Like, you hear people complaining about training and stuff like that, but whenever I'm putting in the hard work and stuff, we're laughing and joking while executing whatever it is that we have to do that day. So these trips and hard sparring sessions, hard training sessions I love it.
There you go.
Your coach named Lee, right?
Yes, sir.
And Power Plant, y'all used to have Xavier Madrid. Yeah,
yes,
how
sir.
many people boxing out of Power Plant? Y'all used to be in the outside kind of at one point in time, right?
Yes, sir.
Tell us about the outside training too. I need to know that.
I wasn't there for that portion of it. Yeah, so once they moved into their new facility now, that's whenever I came a part of it. And this actually, I tell this story a lot. So I was at a local show, just spectating, and the coach that I was with at that time, prior to being at Power Plant, he was like wishy-washy. He didn't care, and that was whenever I was maneuvering through the crowd and he approached me and asked me why I wasn't fighting and things like that, and gave me a business card, told me to come by, and then he was like, he asked me, he was like, "What gym you training at?" And I told him. He was like, "Oh, just come here tomorrow." And this would be my third year with Power Plant.
Okay, that's what's up. Shout out to Lee. Shout out to Power Plant.
And that's it, Coach. There, I think you have to leave. I'm just going to wrap it up here with Leroy, but feel free to exit out when you need to.
All right, take care, Chuck. Take care. I'll see y'all later.
Nice talking to you.
Yeah, definitely. We'll be back at it next week. Appreciate it.
All right.
All right. Let me just get here. This guy. Oh, there we go. All right. So just to kind of wrap it up, you said 7 days a week, right? You're in there competing. What are you doing when you're not, doing something with boxing or training? Like, what are you doing outside of boxing? I'm sure you're giving a little laugh there, but I mean, you gotta do something, no?
When I'm not in the boxing gym, I'm lifting weights. I like lifting weights. Or if I'm doing something productive. If I'm not in the boxing gym and I'm doing nothing, I feel lazy. I gotta do something.
Oh, okay.
It's in my routine.
Man, you're like a coach's dream. You seem very disciplined. Yeah, it doesn't seem like you shy away from the work. I mean, you're there now, and it really, you're kind of complimenting what a coach does. A coach kind of gives you the tools to say, okay, this is what this is the roadmap. This is what you got to do to be able to execute. It really is up to the boxer to kind of take it from there and go beyond.
Right.
Coach shouldn't tell you when to run. Coach shouldn't be telling you all this thing. This should be just, you got to go ahead and do that. So if you have a young, boxing, it's not a sport that you can do at school or anything like that. Like you have to kind of search for it, go to it, and kind of go to that. So if you have some young kids maybe looking into the sport and boxing, from your experience, what would you tell them? How would you maybe convince them to say maybe give this sport a shot?
If you're not getting into it for like competing and stuff like that, it's always good to have some type of combat sport background just to at least learn it. And if you get in there and find out that you want to compete, ask questions, ask what you need to do. Like, what can you do better? What are you not doing enough of? Always stay disciplined, always hungry for more knowledge and things like that. That's what's gotten me as far as I've gotten now. Staying hungry, asking questions, doing the extra work.
There you go. And exactly the response that you would think of somebody that has a goal, knows kind of what they want to go, and making the appropriate moves to get there. And you mentioned, like you said, your coach and your team a lot because they're important. Who's around you while you go through this and kind of navigate this sport is very important. And I think
Absolutely.
it sounds like you're in a good position for that. Now, like I said, I was just kind of looking at social media just to kind of see some clips. You're a father as well, right? Coach Sarah and I are both fathers as well. How did that change? Did that change your focus more on what you wanted to do with this sport? And if so, how did it change it?
I think it made me lock in a lot more. Like, it's not just me. I'm doing this for him as well. And he's already shown like interest into it. Like, I'm not gonna be one of them parents that like forces it onto their child. But if he gets to the age and decides like, hey, like I wanna get into it, then you know what I mean? Then I'll teach him everything that I've been taught. But he's already shown interest.
It's probably got a big smile on your face, so I'm sure you're liking that. One of the things that I do ask boxers because everybody has a different journey. Everybody's been in it for X amount of years or whatever. But do you see yourself maybe after you conquer the pros and do what you want to do there, coming back and maybe coach or do something like that in the future with the youth?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to give back to the community because, like I said, they've been showing me nothing but love. Nothing but love. I got so many kids in and around Albuquerque just constantly messaging me, wishing me the best, telling me they're watching all my fights and studying the things that I do or what I post. So definitely.
There you go. And the rankings were just updated not too long ago. You see your name among some of the best in the nation. How did it feel like? You started this career or the amateur boxing journey not too long ago, a few years ago, and then you see your name among some of the best in the nation. How'd that feel when you first realized that your name was right there with all the rest?
It made me hungrier. Right when those rankings came out, I was already dreading going to training that day. But I saw the rankings. I'm like, okay, what I got to do to get to number one now? I'm cool with the guy that I'm tied for third with and the number two. So they've already expressed how they're excited to share the ring with me one day. So I'm looking forward to it.
There you go. And I just got a couple more questions here, and like I said, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me here. So everybody kind of goes through this at some moment where training camp is just a tough training camp, right? Or maybe you don't want to go put in the miles, or whatever the case may be. What keeps you on task? What keeps you motivated to keep going? Because this sport is not easy. It's not for everybody. And if you want to make a statement in this sport, you kind of have to go above and beyond, but it's still not easy. How do you overcome some of those obstacles when they creep up, especially during camp and all that?
For me, I just suck it up because normally the days that I don't want to do it is whenever I get the best workout in or I have one of my better sparring sessions. So, I just once I get those feelings, I just lock in. I try to shut out the negativity that I'm putting onto myself.
There you go. There you go. Shout out to Jordy out of Canada. Giving you a shout out. He catch one of your bouts. He's a ref judge from Canada. So you've got eyes everywhere. You never know who's watching you. You know what I mean? So
I
and it's gonna
appreciate you, Jordy.
and it's gonna come to a point where you're gonna be sitting, on a table, and across from you, you're gonna have Top Rank, you're gonna have Golden Boy, Matchroom, all the big promotions, and they see a lot of boxers come through. When you have
Hmm.
that conversation with them, what are you gonna tell them? Why should they, you know, pick you up, invest in you to make you the next boxing superstar?
There's not too many athletic heavyweights out there now. So I think that, what I'm able to do inside the ring, it speaks for itself. I'm all about action and not being so vocal about it. So that's how I feel about that.
Let the hands do the talking. There you go. So
Absolutely.
and the U.S., especially the U.S. fan base, loves heavyweight boxing, and you're gathering all this experience, and just being able to deal with different looks, different styles from different boxers, to be able to prepare you to when you do have the opportunity, get that shot, to be as prepared as you can, to be able to execute the plan and come out on top. So uh, real quick, before today's episode, I noticed that people were messaging or sending excited for you to keep your talk out here, and so to me it's like you got the community that wants to see you win, and really kind of rooting for you. How does that feel? How does it feel that people they're looking at you, they know what you're doing, they see those accomplishments, and they're rooting for you to win? How does it feel just to have that community support?
It's That's another one of those feelings that I can't put it into words. I just know it makes me feel great. It keeps me hungry, it keeps me humble, disciplined, and knowing I got people that's looking up to me and want to see me go far, and I don't want to let those people down, or more importantly, myself down.
There you go. There you go. Talking to Leroy Clark here, New Mexico, doing his thing. And when we're going to see you at Golden Gloves? Is that the next tournament you're going to be competing at?
Yes, sir.
All right. So stay busy. Maybe in the summer. I think you said summer festival. So try to get as much work in this year. So he's not going to be hard to find. Make sure to tune in when he's competing in the Golden Gloves and the USA Boxing tournament later this year. But uh, that's pretty much all I got now. How can people follow your journey? Everybody's on social media. So what social media do you use, and how can they find you and make sure they stick around and make as you go on your boxing journey?
Just Instagram. Instagram is where all my boxing stuff is located, and my handle is Lil Damage _96. So that's how you can get in touch with me and
There you,
follow my boxing journey.
there you go. Do you have a nickname yet, or not yet?
Not yet. I
Okay,
haven't been
okay.
gifted one yet.
Okay. Because I saw a little damage, and I'm like, well, I won't make the assumption that's what it is. But hey, yeah, you can't give yourself what it has to come naturally from the coach or somebody in the gym. Those are the ones that stick. Those are the ones that do make sense. So
Absolutely.
uh, go ahead and give out those shout outs, those thank yous to everybody that has helped you get to where you're at so far.
Shout out to my coach, shout out to the power plant, shout out to all of Albuquerque and everybody else that's helped me along this journey. I appreciate all of you. Much love to you all.
There you go. There you go. Well, I know you've been interviewed by the news. You done some interview here, but you got to get used to this, because as soon
Yeah,
as you make it to the pros, there'll be a lot of that, right? Because people want to know who you are, right? And you got to be able to tell
absolutely.
them, and did a great job here. And it's kind of like, it kind of serves as a little little jump platform to go to the next one to help you kind of
Right.
with that. So and aside from that, this podcast, 3 Rounds 5, is solely dedicated to amateur boxing. Amateur boxers are probably one of the hardest working just people in any sport. I would put them
Absolutely.
against anybody because there's no off season. And they're always competing, and the rigorous just camps, training and all that stuff, the repetition, the everything is it doesn't have to be flashy all the time. You learn the fundamentals, and you do it until you can't get it wrong. And sometimes
Right.
sometimes that's it can get a little repetitive, but that's where it is. So
That's what won me this last tournament. Fundamentals.
there you go. There you go. Can't stay away from that. That's all I got. You got anything else that you want to point out there? But we'll be seeing you competing. You've been having a great run, picking up some national championships. Started off 2024 right, looking to capitalize, and I'm assuming pros are probably coming in the picture
Yes, sir.
soon, shortly thereafter. And then we'll definitely keep following you as you make that journey into the
Absolutely.
pros. So, Leroy, I appreciate
Absolutely.
the time. Shout out to Coach.
Of
It
course.
was that's always a big thing, coaches, the unsung heroes. You know what I mean? Until you're there, you don't know everything that they got to do, and they hear boxers like yourself being really just gracious and knowing that the value that they provide is keeps them going. You know what I mean? We always talk about how do we keep the boxers going. The coaches got to get some love too, because they're they're the ones
Absolutely.
they're doing all that thing, and it seems like you're very appreciative about that, and we could see you coaching as well in the future. So we'll definitely keep in touch as you make that transition over to the pros and see what has happened, and we'll definitely keep an eye on you the rest of the year and beyond, and see what you're doing, because you did your thing, and we'll expect that moving forward. So we'll be back next week. If somebody missed the beginning of the show, we'll be posting it up there. You can see the interview in its entirety. We did talk a little bit in the beginning, just amateur boxing topics. So tune into that. But I'll let you know exactly where this interview starts, and you can see the conversation with Leroy here. A lot of gems there, a lot of good information. So make sure to tune in. And that's all we got. Name of the gym, Power Plant. There's a Power Plant gym out there. So shout out to them and all they're doing. Leroy, that's all we got. You have a good night. Take it easy.
You too. Thank you for having me.
Yep, no problem.